Hello and welcome to another update video about Solana. Solana still consolidating at a very high level. However, still moving in this wedge pattern. Okay, so this here could really be a pattern of exhaustion, as I indicated in the last videos. We're at towards the end, in my opinion, of this wave one. At least that's the wave count I'm leaning to, with a very much extended fifth wave. That interpretation might change. It might be that we're already here in some kind of a direct third wave. I mean, the assumption is at the moment we are in a third wave, yeah. But the question is how the subdivisions play out. Because a few of you asked me, have you considered that this here could be a 1-2-1-2 setup? Now, technically, it's valid, but it's unlikely, given that this wave one is just longer than the previous one. It's just a very unlikely scenario. However, we don't want to rule out that it's the case. So that's why I did say to you, I cannot rule out further extensions higher, of course. And if we break out of this wedge pattern that we're tracking here on the larger time frame, if Solana breaks to the upside, we get a sustained break, we might reach that $50 to $60 area more directly, okay? However, it doesn't make any difference because so far there are two things to consider. First of all, I cannot confirm a top in place at this stage. So I gave you very clear parameters also in the previous videos what to watch out for to consider a top in place. I can only highlight to you that we see here and spot patterns of exhaustion, but it still shows a lot of strength short term. So it might just extend higher, okay? And I also gave you all these parameters to understand when the trend is breaking. At the moment, the trend to the upside isn't broken. So the mindset in a third wave, and again, we are in a third wave, most likely, maybe in a C wave, but we can also consider the third wave. The mindset has to be that extensions happen, okay? And you cannot, let's say you cannot predict extensions. We know the trend is up. We can define relevant support levels, and against these support levels, we want to focus generally on higher on the Solana chart. But I think a pullback would be due. And from a chart point of view, it would be very desirable to get a pullback and not necessarily only to find a good entry point. By the way, I think while I'm talking, Bitcoin is popping to the upside. Anyway, it's moving. So we also, from a chart point of view, to get that perspective where we are, we usually want to have a bit of a landmark on the chart, like a lighthouse that tells us where we are. And one of these lighthouses, you could say, that gives us a bit of orientation is an impulse. That's one, because then we know the trend is up. And the other one would be a deep pullback in a corrective structure like a wave two. Okay, so it's very desirable to get that, but obviously the market doesn't really care about what we want. So that's why we have to just watch what's in front of us. And the trend is still up, yes, but you can clearly see how momentum is slowing down. I showed you that yesterday already. We have bearish divergences on the chart, on the 4-hour chart. I think we had bearish divergences on the daily chart as well, yes. But it's still quite high. And, these coins can be embedded in the overbought range for quite some time. So we don't want to rule out extensions higher. Very, very important. I can really only confirm to you that a top is in place with a break below $28. And that has not been triggered yet. Now, there are levels we can watch earlier. I made you aware of this wedge pattern and that when broken, the reversal should be sharp. So, but only when it's broken. So when it's not broken, the trend is still up. Can you see that we're following trend lines? But when it breaks, yeah, then the reversal should be sharp, because Elliott wave teaches us that if a diagonal breaks, it's normally a quite a sharp reversal that goes to the upside and also the downside. But within this wedge, this would be a key level for me, $29.50. So first of all, when it breaks, that would be a signal. But because it is so sharp, most likely, I tell you beforehand that things are getting exhausted from what we can see right now. Because, when it breaks, I'm not there to make a video. I want to tell you the levels to watch. And then we've got $29.50 and $28. And then the A wave has a good chance to reach $26.30. That's often the case. They often reach the 38.2 fib levels. And then if we get a B wave bounce, I can indicate resistance for that, and then a C wave down. This would be the ideal target, but obviously it still shows a lot of strength, so could easily extend higher. No problem. That's possible. You have to consider that as well. And we're obviously doing that, but I can't really confirm that we get extensions without further evidence. And further evidence would be here the $34 level. And if we get above $34, then we are likely trying to break out of this overall wedge pattern as well. And then next resistance will be $38.60. Now also ready for the weekend, let's also take a look at the long-term chart for Solana. Just to get an idea where we stand. And you see on the weekly chart, much better this ascending wedge pattern that the chart created over the last few months, really, since the beginning of this year, okay? So this is going to be a key level. It wouldn't be the first time that, even though this is typically a pattern where you would say, let's call it a bearish pattern, oftentimes they break to the downside, but first of all, there is still space in here, and then it wouldn't be the first time that coin charts break these patterns to the upside, especially when things are starting to get bullish. But yeah, I mean, also Solana is far from out of the woods, but obviously we're tracking uptrends as long as support levels are holding. We rather want to focus on the upside than on the downside, and it so far has been the right strategy. Yeah, we don't want to fight the trend in crypto, but it's still a very fragile one. Okay, I have to highlight that as well. We had a bit of a breakout point here. This green line that was around $27, $28. Market didn't really care about that resistance level. And then here on the weekly chart, you also see those that level that I just mentioned on the shorter time frame chart, around $39. And then this is going to be an important swing high as well at $48. And above that level, there is not going to be much until we get to around about $150. Now, there will be Fibonacci extension targets and so on. And also this one might be meaningful in terms of structural resistance, but that's more around, $48, $49 actually. So I will use obviously shorter time frame targets and Fibonacci extensions on the shorter time frame count, but this gives you a good idea of the bigger picture. And the all-time high target that we've been talking about for months, if not years now, is still around $440 to $715. Can always extend higher, but this is sort of, from what we can see now, an ideal target range. That's my update about Solana. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Tomorrow we've got our next member live stream on Sunday at 5 p.m. UTC. We're going to cover some member coin requests. We're going to talk about some charts. We're going to talk about the topic tomorrow of what you do or what you can do, or we can really only give some guidance, what you can do if you think that you missed the boat. Still very early, but we can only give some guidance. What you do is essentially only based on your portfolio, past trading decisions, cash flow, risk appetite, and so on, but we can give some guidance. So that's the topic we're going to cover in tomorrow's member live stream. If you're interested to join that, then check out our membership options. The link is in the description. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.